And welcome back to Live at FDIC, our last one of the day today, day number 3 for FDIC. This podcast is brought to you by Firehouse Subs, the firefighter-founded hot sub chain with a passion for hearty and flavorful food, heartfelt service, and public safety. Ready for your next mission? Firehouse Subs is offering firefighters the opportunity to continue serving after service now as restaurant owners. Learn more at www.firehousesubsfranchising.com. Well, like I said, last one of the day. Thank God for that, because I'm with Chris Crowell, and you had no idea how great it is to have someone with the same name as you at the end of the day when, anything could happen. So this is Chris Crowell. He is with Cummins, and I wish I had more time than 15 minutes to talk to you, because there are a lot of questions out there. Hopefully we're going to get a lot of them answered today with some of the things we're going to talk about. First of all, over the last year, several new engine platforms have been introduced by Cummins. And, the buzz has been building in the fire sector. We're all wondering what's happening there. But how is this tied to what Cummins is calling the Helm platform? So how are those introductions tied to that?
Yeah, so at Cummins, we love acronyms. So, yes, you're right, Chris. So we've been working on a whole new product lineup to meet EPA 2027 emissions. Mm-hmm. HELM is an acronym for high efficiency, low emissions, multiple fuels. So if you think about high efficiency for the fire service, that's making sure that we can meet greenhouse gas emissions, because the only way we do that is by reducing CO2, which means we're improving fuel economy, which is the high efficiency. The low emissions part, there's a pretty significant change. So over the last 35 years, we've had to reduce NOx emissions, that's oxides of nitrogen. Mm-hmm. We've had to reduce those by 80% over 35 years. The newest challenge is reducing them more than 80% in 4 years. Okay. So this is significant investment. We're excited about it. These will be great products, but it is a significant change in technology.
It's funny you brought that up about the acronyms, because it's no problem for me. I am used to them. I have a son who is in the Naval Academy right now, and he throws acronyms out at me, and I've got no idea. I cannot remember from one moment to the next what they mean. So no problem there. So some of these engines, we're talking about, there's the X10. And you will be featuring that in the Cummins booth?
Yeah, so that's pretty exciting, Chris. So 2 years ago, we were fortunate enough, so that sister engine to that's been in production for a couple of years now. Mm-hmm. We brought the European version here. Okay. So people could get a sense for what the base platform would look like. But this year, this is the full EPA version that's here. Okay. And this is the one that will launch in January 1 of 27. Last year, we were fortunate to have the X15 EPA 2027 engine here, and the amount of interest was just overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. We run probably about 22 new deliveries per month in the print version of fire apparatus emergency equipment. And in there, I can't think of many that do not say that they have an L9 Cummins engine. So talk about the X10 in terms of how it builds on the legacy of the L9 and the X12 that we're all very familiar with right now in the fire service for our rigs.
Sure. So the L9's probably been the most popular engine in the fire service. Total for what we've sold in the fire service since 2000, about 50,000 engines. So we've taken all that experience and rolled it into our new platforms, including the X10. The nice part about the X10 is it builds on the L9, so we have the same ratings that were available with the L9. Okay. Plus, we've added higher torque ratings up to 1,650 foot-pounds that will help us replace the X12.
Okay. You mentioned the X15. The 2020 X15 went through some pretty rigorous testing to ensure that it's going to meet these new emission standards. What do you see as the key benefits of those, meeting those testing requirements to the fire service?
So we do have a very rigorous testing process. We also have a lot of engineering standard work. So we take all of our learnings from previous product launches and apply them to new launches that come out. In addition, we'll have anywhere from 15 to 35 different field tests that are going on in a variety of applications, from refuse to mixers to dump trucks to over-the-road trucks to pickup and delivery, high altitude, low altitude, cold, hot. So we go the extra mile on that. The other benefit for these products, as we've gone to this Helm platform, we will use the same basic short block in many different countries for many different emissions levels. So in a lot of cases, we've already accumulated hundreds of thousands or millions of miles on that base engine before it even launches here. So now it's basically just for the US emissionized version, okay, is everything meeting the standard? And again, we validate that with tests here.
Okay. Talk to me about the quick disc hub. Quick disc hub and rotor, I'm sorry. When's it going to be available? Is there any kind of high-level information you can share with me now about that, and along with some of the benefits of that?
Yeah, sure. So this is pretty exciting. So later this year, we will hear more about that. The very good part about that is that you can replace the rotor without invasive work into the wheel end.
Okay.
So now you don't have that big heavy wheel end to pull off. You can pull the rotor. That's a pretty big deal. You don't have to worry about fluids. You don't have to worry about seal changes. So I know we're very excited about that. So this allows us to have disc brakes on the rear axle of vehicles. And it can also be standard with front axle. So this is less parts proliferation. It's less labor for maintenance. So we're pretty excited about it.
When do you expect it to be available?
So I think we'll hear more later this year.
Okay.
But we are talking with people now for sure. We can't bring a product to market without these wonderful chassis builders that we work with. And so that's the key for us, is just working with them to make sure we can integrate it properly.
Speaking of working with the chassis manufacturers, we were just talking before this started. Is there any, and this is like the $1 million question, is there any clarity at this point about what is coming in terms of rig design based on the 2027 engines?
Okay, so this, it's a great question. So it does take a lot of work. So we do have dedicated engineers that work with each one of those chassis manufacturers. Not just for fitment, like is the tunnel big enough, do we have enough clearance, but also things like cooling packages to ensure that we don't have issues with overheats, emissions related faults, that kind of thing. So a lot of work goes into that whole process with those OEMs. So they do have significant engineering work to do. The other thing that we need to recognize is with the EPA 2027 product, the emissions warranty doubles. Okay. This is not minor. So today there's a full 5-year coverage on the base engine and after treatment. Any emissions related components now will need to be covered up to 10 years. Okay. Fire apparatus won't get to the mileage. So basically that means 10 years. And that's not just the engine, that's any emissions related component. So whether it's a charge air cooler or an after treatment wiring harness. So a lot of thought needs to be put into that by the chassis manufacturers to ensure long-term reliability.
So talk to me about the booth at the show here. Are there other products in there as well as the new X10?
So yes, so we will feature the X10 as well as that quick disc rotor. Okay. So people can get a look at that and see how that would be serviced. And maybe one of the best things is we will have very knowledgeable people there to address any questions about current product, future product, and how we can support them better.
Finding out how to get it serviced is like one of the most important, things.
Absolutely.
And we're always telling people, make sure you've got an EVT on your purchasing committee so that they know what's coming in, so that they can also make recommendations
exactly.
for what should be spec'd out on there. Starting to wrap up a little bit. If there was one message, that Cummins would want the fire service to know this year, what would that be?
Cummins cares about the fire service. So just because there are limited numbers as compared to over-the-road trucks, we do have a dedicated effort as we go through our new product introduction process to make sure that we're meeting their needs. That's probably number one. Number two is we know support is huge. So this is why we have 1-800-Cummins number. That's a 24/365 number. 24/7 365 number that they can call if they have any kind of questions, whether it's about maintenance, if it's about operation. We have dedicated materials for the fire service to help educate technicians and operators, driver tip cards. So we want the fire service, number one, to know we care about the fire service. We know that the fire service saves lives and property.
You mentioned a couple of things in there, and one of them was education. Does Cummins have any training that it does for not only EVTs, but for maybe municipal fleet management or municipal fleet technicians?
So any training that we do offer, even to our technicians, we're required to offer to any interested party as part of the regulation. So that's number one. Number two, we do participate in things like EVT, the fire truck training conference that Bill Foster, rest his soul, put together up in Lansing. So we do send an instructor to that. And we do have people locally that will help answer questions that do call on departments when departments need help.
Okay, perfect. I want to thank you for taking the time to sit down with me. Thank you very much for offering to answer the clarity question, because there is on the end user end, there are still just a lot of questions. You know what I mean? And I wish, like I said, I wish we had more than the allotted time here to go through all that.
So hopefully we can do that in the future. If we want to dive in a little deeper and get into more technical details, we can.
That would be fantastic.
I'll just add that maybe some of the bigger architecture changes that people will see. You asked about the chassis manufacturers. So if you think about how we meet that lower NOx standard, we're talking about dual SCR catalysts. So that means the after treatment gets a little bigger. That's one of the challenges that they will deal with. We have to put heaters in the after treatment so that even on startup that we're producing low emissions. So there's a 48-volt alternator on the engine. And then we're also thinking about maintenance concerns as well. How do we extend those periods and do things like cartridge style filters so that we don't have to send metal to the landfill. So those are some of the high-level technical differences. And people are welcome to stop by, and we'd be happy to answer any other questions they have.
Good deal. Well, I mean, really, you're talking about the most adaptable group of people that you're ever going to find when you're talking about firefighters. They'll always find a way to make it work. And really, all they need to do is know kind of what's coming down the line. I thank you for sharing that.
It's our pleasure.
Now, if anyone is unable to get here this week to see the booth, see the X10 or anything else that's in there, how can they learn more about Cummins and some of your other products?
So great question. So I'd say our communications group has done a fantastic job. They've updated our website with information on the X15. So there's a landing page that has a lot of information. There's some videos there. I think we issued a press release today to give some additional detail on it. So I would just point them to our website, and if they have any difficulties navigating to the right place, they're welcome to call 1-800-Cummins, and we'll be happy to point them in the right direction. We'll also have flyers here as well that they can take back to their home department to share with others in the department.
All right, perfect. Well, again, my thanks to you, Chris, for sitting down with me today. My thanks to Firehouse Subs. We like to call this the Firehouse Subs podcast studio. So thank you to Firehouse Subs for sponsoring the studio. If all of the podcasts that we've been doing throughout the week, whether it's been like these with a vendor or with some of our fire engineering podcasters, they are all available at the FDIC YouTube channel for you to watch if you did happen to miss one. Also, don't forget to go to FDIC.com to find out all the information you need on the show. So again, this has been Chris McClune live at FDIC with Chris Crowell. Again, thank God he's got the same name as me. It's very, very, very helpful. Have a good one, everyone, and stay safe. Thanks again, Chris.
Thank you.